Salutations, Illumineers, and welcome back to the Lorcana Rundown. I'm Silver.
I'm Andrew.
And so into the Inklands. February 23rd, it is almost on us.
Yeah, it's almost there.
We've got plenty of spoilers, but we're not covering those today.
No.
Today we have something a little more scary in mind. We're going to go over some of the spicier rulings that have come out about these cards. Anybody who's been following the Into the Inklands spoilers, I'm sure as you've seen, these have a lot more text on them than previous cards. Especially the legendaries, they've got a lot of abilities, a lot of keywords, and it just seems like there's a lot to keep track of. So we're going to kind of go through some of the more impactful rulings that you'll definitely want to keep an eye on. So first up on the list is Jafar, Striking Illusionist. He's an Amethyst legendary. Inkable 7-drop with Shift 5. He's an evasive 4/5 who quests for 1 lore. I remember when I first saw this, sending it to you because you like Amethyst, obviously, and you just tend to like decks even in other games that have payoffs for draw.
Yes.
Either payoffs or which punish your opponent for drawing.
Yes, it's so much fun.
So, Jafar's ability is Power Beyond Measure. During your turn, while this character is exerted, whenever you draw a card, gain a lore.
Yes.
That's a lot of words.
That is a lot of words.
So, I'm going to give you a scenario.
Sure.
Tell me what you think, okay?
Okay.
It's the beginning of your turn.
Okay.
You're getting ready to untap, draw, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Do you gain a lore when you draw for turn? If you've got Jafar on your board and he's exerted.
Can you reread Jafar's wording again?
During your turn, while this character is exerted, whenever you draw a card, gain 1 lore.
Well, he has to be exerted, so no, I'm not going to gain the lore. Because you go through the whole steps of readying your characters first, then you draw.
Precisely.
Yes.
Because turn order is set in stone, your phases are ready, set, draw, action phase. He readies before you draw for turn, you don't get that lore.
Right.
Now, if he's frozen by something like Stuck or Elsa,
you would.
You would, but that's kind of a niche situation. Always, by the way, feel free to freeze my Jafar.
Yeah, please.
I love some free lore. But, so with how this is written, it's kind of a new setup for triggers. We're used to seeing things be set up as trigger condition effect. Mm-hmm. So it tells you what will trigger the check for the game, and then what the game looks for, and then what happens if that's true.
Okay.
In this case, it's written as condition trigger effect. So the game checks first to see if it's true or false, then triggers if it's true.
Right.
And then the effect happens. So that trigger goes into your bag after the check. So if something changes between the trigger and when you decide to resolve the trigger, you still get the trigger.
Okay.
So basically, because it's how it's written, it goes into your trigger bag at the exerted check.
Okay.
If another ability would ready Jafar before you actually draw, you don't get the lore.
Right.
Because the whole ability has to resolve.
Yes.
But once you draw the card, it doesn't matter if he gets readied somehow magically, you still get that lore.
Yeah.
So it's when the card was spoiled, there were like 25 or 30 people in a row who all asked the same question about Jafar. You know, do I get it if this? Do I get it if that? You get it when you draw the card.
Yes.
So, another note that some people don't seem to remember, you lose at what's called instant speed. So it doesn't matter how many triggers you have in your bag. If you would lose the game, you just lose the game.
Right.
So if, for instance, you play a whole new world, and you've only got 5 cards left in your library, you will lose the game before you get that lore.
Yes.
So even if you're at 19 lore, if you a whole new world, you will lose.
Yeah, because the whole effect has to complete.
Yes.
That's the big thing. Everything has to be completed on there. So just keep that in mind when you're doing stuff like that. Like if you decide to run, Amethyst Steel for some reason because you're thinking, hey, Jafar is going to get you that far and you could just do whole new world and get all that lore. It's a good idea, but you want to watch how many cards are left in your deck and go from there.
Another thing to consider is you might be trying to be a little spicy. Think, okay, I've got 5 cards. My opponent has 6. We're both going to deck. Well, maybe they'll deck first, but no, because the active player resolves first. If you're in that situation, the person who plays a whole new world is going to lose first.
And also be careful with how... Now, I know a lot of people are going to be testing this on Pixelborn. Mm-hmm. Pixelborn has a weird way of automating things, and I'm going to give you an example. Mm-hmm. So let's say you have Prince John out.
Okay.
Prince
Which
John? The one from Floodborn. I was about to...
Sorry.
Yeah, Prince John from Rise of the Floodborn. He's a 1/2 with Ward. Whenever an opponent would discard a card, you draw a card. So you have that out. Then you play a card called Hypnotize. Hypnotize costs 3. It's an inkable. Each opponent discards a card, draw a card. Now, how that's supposed to go is you finish out Hypnotize completely. Mm-hmm. So they discard, you draw a card, then John's ability goes into the bag. Then you draw another card. Pixelborn likes to do it where you hypnotize, they discard, then it shows John's ability. Mm-hmm. You click the select because you want to do it. Obviously, you want more cards.
Of course.
And then it just automatically draws you 2 cards. But that's not the correct way that it goes. It's just a faster way that it goes. Because 9 times out of 10, if you're playing in paper, you're going against somebody that knows the cards. So you're just going to automatically say, okay, I'm drawing 2.
Friendly reminder, guys, Pixelborn is not an official platform. It should not be used as a test of whether or not something is legal.
Yes.
It is not 100% mechanically accurate.
It's true.
Please stop coming onto forums saying, but this is how it works on Pixelborn. That's not right. Sorry, it's a pet peeve.
No, I know. I understand.
So kind of to segue away from that, back to the question of actions and how they work.
Yeah.
Did you see 99 Puppies?
You'll have to remind me. I know I've seen it. I just don't remember exactly what it says.
So 99 Puppies is an uncommon amber action. It's an uninkable 5-drop. And whenever one of your characters quests this turn, you gain 1 lore.
Okay.
If I quest with Lilo and then play 99 Puppies, will I get an additional lore because I quested with Lilo?
You have to play the action first. The action would have to be played first for it to be in effect.
Correct. It does not see Lilo quest, and so you don't get that extra lore.
Are people really asking that?
Yes.
Wow.
A surprising number of people are asking if I play.
Put the camera on me for a second. All right, listen very closely. This game is not that difficult. I'm going to be real with you. You can't assume that I'm going to quest first, then play this action and gain the benefit of it. The game has to be able to see the action first. I've dealt with this before when I would judge in Magic tournaments and stuff like that, because some of the rules are kind of similar with how instants are run or how, triggers go on the stack and everything like that. But this is something that should be common sense for people that have played this enough. If you're brand new into this is a great way for you to learn. This is not towards you. But for those that have been playing this game, they should know that, okay, I have to play the card to get the effect of the card. Please understand that.
One last...
That infuriates me, actually.
I had no idea that might get under your skin.
Just a little bit. I
didn't at all put this in my list of rulings just to get a little bit of a rant out of you. But one other thing that has come up is that it does not count if you exert a character to gain lore some other way. So it has to be the actual quest action.
Yes.
It can't be exerting a character to gain lore like with Cogsworth Talking Clock's ability.
So this is a scenario of reading the card and doing what the card says. I mean, the card clearly states that when you quest with a character, you gain lore. So that means that you are questing with the card. It's kind of not, you can't just stack that with like Arthur or something and be like, oh, I'm going to gain more lore because of this. No, you're going to quest with a character. You're going to gain the lore from the character first. Then the action ability is going to trigger for you. So you gain an additional lore. So the best way to think about it is you play the action 99 puppies. That effect is going on until the end of your turn. You quest with something with one, you know that you're going to gain an extra lore whenever you quest. That's the best way to think about it.
And it has to be questing. It can't be an alternative way to gain lore.
Right.
Not all lore gains come from questing.
Right, because that's what the card says.
You heard it here, folks. Reading the card explains the card.
Mm-hmm. That's how you solve about 99 problems in most TCGs, is by reading the card. And the card will explain it to you completely.
And I think before we go too much further, we'll have a quick word from our sponsor. And then we'll be back with some more fun rulings.
This episode is sponsored by Weathervane Games, creators of Vrahode, Age of Prophecy, an adventure dungeon crawl for 1 to 4 players in a fresh fantasy world, launching on Kickstarter October of 2024.
Vrahode, Age of Prophecy is the initial game leading into the huge 4-game series to follow.
Weathervane Games is working on 9 products, including the Vrahode 4-game series and 4 sets for their proprietary Harbinger 3D terrain system with which it is compatible.
To learn more, check out vrahode.com. That's VRAHODE.com.
All right, we are back, everyone, with some Into the Inklands rulings and judge calls, things you'll want to watch out for when you go to your first Into the Inklands event or throughout the season, as these cards are going to keep coming up. Like I've been saying, the Into the Inklands cards are pretty spicy. So the next one up on the list I've mentioned already on the show, but it's Ursula, Deceiver of All.
Oh boy, here we go.
She's our Emerald Legendary. She's an inkable 3-drop 2/3 who quests for 1 lore. Her ability is What a Deal. Whenever this character sings a song, you may play that song again from your discard for free, then put it on the bottom of your deck.
It's amazing. I love it.
It's phenomenal. It opens up so many just weird and amazing situations for Emerald/Amethyst or Emerald Steel or, you know, whatever deck you happen to be running it in.
Now, are you going to be using the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo scenario?
I was, because that's the most complicated scenario I could come up with.
Not that complicated, but okay.
Okay, but we did just have to talk about 99 Puppies.
I know, but go on.
Okay, so first off, remember, you can unpack your triggers from your bag in any order you want while resolving a character's triggered ability. Actions need to be resolved in their entirety, but anything they trigger still goes into your bag.
Yes.
So here's a hypothetical for you. You play Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, or you sing Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, and use it to bounce Merlin Rabbit back to your hand.
Sure.
The situation plays out like this. So Ursula sings Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. That gives you her ability trigger. So that goes into your bag. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo has to completely resolve because it's an action. Mm-hmm. So Merlin goes back to your hand. His trigger draw his draw trigger goes into your bag. Then you play your other card. We're gonna say it's Merlin.
Okay.
Another draw trigger goes into your bag. So at that point, you have 3 triggers in your bag. You've got 2 draw triggers and you've got the Ursula trigger. You can choose to order those 3 triggers however you want.
Now, the Ursula one lets you bring back the song
Yes.
and recast it
For free.
and then it goes back into the bottom of your discard.
Yes. So it hits your discard pile, and then you have the option to play it again for free.
Okay.
So you can cast Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo again for free, bounce the Merlins again. Now you've got 4 cards you can draw.
Yes.
Or you can decide to draw before you do your Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, your second Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo.
Yes.
Now, one thing to remember is that only that first cast of the song where Ursula actually exerts to sing it counts as singing.
Right.
For purposes of things like, criminy. Is it Dr. Facilier? Whenever you sing?
I don't know.
Any effect that would check for when you sing a song would only trigger off of that first cast, because
Right.
that's the only time Ursula's actually singing the song. After that, it's an alternate casting cost, which is a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, it's an alternate way of playing the card. It's not being sung, it's being casted by a different source.
In this case, cast for free. And like I said, the song does hit your discard pile before you recast it, and then it goes on the bottom of your deck.
That's so good.
It is so very good.
How much ink does that Ursula cost?
She's an inkable 3-drop.
Ooh, I like that.
So
That
if
gives
she
me an
survives
idea.
long enough, she can be a shift target.
That gives me ideas.
Oh, yeah. Because as a 3-drop, you get Mother Knows Best, Friends on the Other Side, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo,
Yep.
Sudden Chill.
Yeah.
You get, I think, Part of Your World from Amber.
Yeah.
Is
you
that a
do
3 or a 4?
That is a
I don't remember.
3, I believe.
But you hit a lot of really great songs at the 3-drop mark.
Yeah.
And she gives you a double dip. Plus, it goes back on the bottom of your library instead of into your discard, so that saves on having to run something like Lady Tremaine.
Sure.
But
But the Storm Rage on.
Storm Rage On, another good one. Strength of a Raging Fire.
Yep.
Reflections, not that anybody's running Reflections.
True. So, yeah, just to kind of summarize how that happens, just so everyone's clear. So you have Ursula out. Ursula sings Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. You have to finish Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo while that trigger goes into the bag. For those who are Magic veterans, the bag is basically the stack. Think of it that way.
It just isn't first in first.
I know that. Yep, I'm just giving it a location.
Okay.
Like thing. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo targets Merlin Rabbit. You bring back the Merlin Rabbit, then you replay it because of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. That's 2 cards you're getting. Then Ursula's trigger goes off because that's the one that you choose first while the other 2 draws are in the bag. You redo Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, redo the rabbit. You now can draw 4 cards off of the rabbit. Or if you do it to the goat, you could get 4 lore, which is really good.
You could.
Or if you do the crab, just give everything Challenger 3 and just go haywire on
Hey, do Sapphire Emerald with that. Oh no, Crab's purple. Never mind. I was going to say an Alice deck, but...
something. Oh, yeah. That's funny.
All right, so the next one. Again, the Emerald Gang Rise. I look at Emerald spoilers before anything, so a lot of these are either Emerald or Emerald adjacent.
Okay.
Prince John, Phony King.
Oh, boy. All right.
This one is actually kind of an important ruling because it's set in stone, something that hadn't been before.
Sure.
So he's an uncommon emerald. He's uninkable 5-drop, 2/4 that quests for 2 lore. His ability is collect taxes. Whenever this character quests, each opponent with more lore than you loses 2 lore.
Okay.
So your opponent has to have more lore than you after that 2 lore is added to your total.
Yes.
So if they're at 4 and you're at 2, after you quest with him, you're going up to 4, his trigger doesn't resolve.
Right.
That's because questing acts like an action. The whole questing process has to resolve before any triggers can check.
Right.
A lot of people are thinking, hey, I quest, it's the quest that triggers the lore loss. It's not. It's after the trigger, or after the quest resolves, it checks your lore total, and then if it's less than your opponent, they lose 2 lore. So nothing can happen between, because like I said, questing is treated as an action. That's not a definition we had before this set. It was kind of implied, but it was actually put hard and fast out by Steve from Ravensburger 2 days ago, 3 days ago. I don't remember. But that one was kind of one of those, oh, hey, I should probably mention that to people things. Because when we're actually playing in paper, we do it so fast. It's like quest, trigger, lore.
Yeah, you have a different flow.
Yeah.
When you're going through it, when you're playing in paper, especially when you're playing against other people that are like really good at the game already and that they know the game, you kind of can, in a way, fast track things.
And some of these rulings are going to definitely make it so, at least for a little while, we've got to slow play down so we make sure that triggers are happening in the correct order.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And do keep an eye on your opponents if they're playing cards like this, because they might try to angle shoot you.
Yeah. Especially when you're getting to the competitive levels.
Yeah. And do you want to explain angle shooting?
Yeah, angle shooting is kind of a way of... Like, for example, the best way I can give like a scenario of angle shooting. Let's say we'll use this Prince John as an example. I go, okay, quest with Prince John, you have more lore. You lose 2. I'm gonna gain more. Or they lose 2, right?
They lose 2.
You lose 2 lore. I'm gonna gain 4 and pass turn. Just going fast. It's going faster and just kind of switching you up, confusing you, trying to go that route. That's one form of angle shooting. There are other forms that I could go on for hours on that, and I'm not.
If you do suspect somebody that you're playing against is trying to pull a fast one on you, don't be afraid to raise your hand, call judge, just explain, hey, they're misrepresenting the game state or they're making it hard for me to follow, because it's right in the organized play rules.
The best way to do it, the best way to be like that, you'd be like, oh, hang on, slow down. What are you doing? That's what you do. You stop them, and when they go to explain again, you go, no, that's not how it works. I'm calling a judge. And that's how I do it in Magic personally. When I'm playing it at a competitive level for Magic, is if they're trying to go too fast or if they're trying to do something like that, I slow them down. I stop them, and I go, hold on, what are you doing? Okay, that's not how it's supposed to be done. I'm calling a judge. Or if it is correct, then I will say, okay, that's fine. You're just going really fast.
And for my judges out there, not everyone who does this is trying to cheat. Sometimes it's just because the person genuinely doesn't understand the interaction.
Sure.
So you do want to be careful with that. We do have play correction guidelines, but it reads like a major beta document right now. Like, it's not fully tested. Just keep in mind, sometimes you do have to give your players the benefit of the doubt, but in a league setting, in a casual setting, you're just going to be kind of doing a play coaching and moving on. But anyway, the last 3, they're really pretty simple. We'll get through them pretty quickly because these are things that everybody should already know, kind of like the 99 Puppies ruling, but so strength reduction stacking.
Okay.
This keeps coming up because of Kita, the shift one that was spoiled, where when she's played, everything gets -3 strength.
Yeah.
A character's strength will always round up to 0 if it goes negative.
Right.
So if you hit something that's got 2 strength with a -3, it goes to -1. It's not going to add a willpower to a character that it attacks. It's just going to have a 0 attack.
Right.
Those modifiers all add up together and then are rounded. So if you give something +2 and then -5, that gives you -3. If you get another -2, that takes you down to -5. And then if you give it a +3, that puts you back up to -2, which rounds to 0.
Right.
And every time you add another modifier to your power, it's going to recalculate to include the new modifier.
Welcome to layers in Lorcana.
All right, so the next one is another one of those things everybody should know because of things like Prince John.
Which Prince John? Gonna get you back on that one.
Gonna get me back. You're so spiteful.
Mm-hmm.
So petty.
No, these rulings have me a little like
Tilted.
a little bit, just because it's like just read the cards. Just read the card.
All right, so it's like Prince John from Rise of the Floodborn. Sheriff of Nottingham, corrupt official.
Okay.
His ability is if you discard, or basically when you would discard a card, deal 1 damage to character.
Okay.
So if you discard multiple cards, do you get multiple triggers?
Whenever you discard a card, deal 1 damage to chosen character, correct?
Yes, I believe that is the... I didn't write down the full thing. But.
Okay, if that is the wording, which if it's not, you can tell me in the comments later. It's fine. But this is the information I'm basically going off of. It's the same thing with Prince John. So whenever your opponent discards a card, you draw a card. Whenever an opponent discards a card, you deal 1 damage to chosen character. So if an opponent discards 2 cards, that is 2 damage, but it's separate. 1 damage for each card.
It's when you discard, but yes.
When you discard, yes.
So because the wording is whenever you discard a card.
Oh, it's whenever you, not an opponent?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I misunderstood that because I thought it was opponent because you said it was like Prince John.
It's similar because the triggers work the same way.
Right.
It's whenever you discard a card. So if you're
Okay.
using like a looting effect from Tink or something.
Or you Whole New World.
Or you a Whole New World, which is... So many of these questions are, hey, can I break the game with a whole new world?
Yes, probably.
Odds are yes.
It's Whole New World. You can do whatever you want with it.
Badumtis. But because the wording is whenever you discard a card, you get multiple triggers. If it said whenever you discard 1 or more cards, you'd only get the 1 trigger.
Right.
Again, reading the card explains the card.
Reading the card explains the card. So if you have that out and you go, okay, I'm going to do a Whole New World, and you had 5 cards in hand, that is 5 damage. It's 5 damage you can do.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So our last ruling. This one also should not need to be explained. So
But we're going to do it.
We're going to do it because it's been asked enough times on various Discords that apparently the idea of damage counters being on a character is hard. So, toughness buffs.
We're back to layers.
We're back to layers. So we had Pride Land spoiled. It's a location. When a character's there, it gets +2 willpower.
Yeah.
If you have a character on Pride Lands and they have toughness 3 base, that's their printed toughness.
Okay.
That +2 puts them up to 5.
Sure does.
They have 4 damage counters on them. Mm-hmm. They're still alive because now they have 5 willpower.
Yes.
If you then move them off of that location to another location without that willpower buff, what happens?
They die. They get banished.
And why do they get banished?
Because the game is going to check where their willpower is at, and the game says, oh, you are not at 3 willpower. You have 4 damage counters. One of these things just doesn't belong here. It goes into the discard, and it's banished.
You are correct. So it all adds up to, like, at every time a modifier changes, you re-add everything. And damage counters, unless you remove the damage counters through an effect, stay on the character.
Yes.
So if it goes to 0 or below with all the modifiers calculated together, your character gets banished, my friend.
Yes. Now, since we're kind of wrapping this up now, that was the final one, I'm going to say that Into the Inklands is changing this game completely. It is changing it quite a bit with the new locations and all these some of these more advanced rulings. A lot of the questions that are being asked, I think people are just forgetting that they need to read the card. That will explain the majority of everything. But some of the more advanced rulings, like we were talking about with Not Ursula, the first one.
Oh, Jafar.
Jafar. Things like that. It's going to take people time to learn, and you want to be patient. With us, we've been playing TCGs for a long time, and so a lot of some stuff comes natural. It's why I'm being funny about talking about, hey, read the card.
I still need to play really slow.
Yeah, sometimes you have to play slow. You have to slow down. You have to go at your speed. As long as it's not like intentional and you're just doing it to, be mean, that's fine. But remember, not everyone's going to learn at the same speed as other people, so just make sure that you're slowing down. Go over everything, and remember, this is a brand new set with brand new cards. The locations are changing this game up tremendously.
And like I said, these card interactions are getting so much more nuanced. And it's great to see, because the first two sets were pretty simplistic.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're getting into sort of a game state where there's almost an art to manipulating your triggers.
Yeah.
And deciding what you're going to resolve when. So I'm excited to see how gameplay shapes up into the Inklands. But I think that's it for today.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us on the Lorcana Rundown. If we get any more interesting rulings in from Ravensburger, we will bring them to you as soon as we can. Hopefully, we will be getting an organized judge program soon. By April, hopefully.
And hopefully the Lorcana app will actually put the third set on there.
Yeah. Ravensburger, what up, yo? That was the best thing you did in Rise of the Floodborn, and yeah. But anyway, thanks for joining us on the Lorcana Rundown. I'm Silver.
I'm Andrew.
And if you like what you saw, give us a like, subscribe, share our videos, and check out our sister channels, Miniatures Rundown, Board Games Rundown, and RPG Rundown?
Yes.
RPG Rundown. Check them out. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.